Hey guys, and welcome to my top 10 games of this generation video. With the PS4 recently announced and a new Xbox limiting on the horizon, I decided what better time than to do a top 10 games of this generation video. Although I say top 10 games, this list is really just the games that I have personally enjoyed the most this generation. This is not based on Metacritic scores or anyone else's opinion. This is purely the games that I had the most fun with this generation. On a side note, anyone who knows me knows that I love RPGs, so don't be surprised if this list is dominated with them. Let's get started. Number 10. The Last Story. One of the three Operation Rainfall petition games, The Last Story by Mistwalker Studios wasn't released in North America until August of 2012, a full year and a half after the Japanese release. Rumored to be the Final Fantasy creators Hironobu Sakaguchi's last game, The Last Story had a lot of hype surrounding it. Although as it turned out, the rumor was false and was based on a badly translated tweet on Sakaguchi's Twitter account. The Last Story would have been a great way to go out. With a completely new innovative battle system and great graphics for the Wii, The Last Story truly is a treat for Wii owners. Although it was only 12 to 16 hours long, which is short for its genre, none of the content felt padded out in order to artificially lengthen the game time. The game's story wasn't hugely epic, but instead focused on a band of mercenaries and the story between Zai and Callista, which made it feel more relatable. Good voice acting and cutscenes round out this amazing game, which no Wii owner should miss. Number 9. Halo 3. Released on September 2007, Halo 3 was the first game I ever bought for my 360. Admittedly, I only played the campaign as an afterthought, because as we all know, everyone plays Halo for its multiplayer. Countless hours were spent sniping people and engaging in epic sword battles. It was the first game I ever played competitively online, and as such, I was instantly addicted due to the competitive personality of mine. Halo 3 brought many innovations to the table, such as Forge, which let you create your own levels, and the video editor, which let you share your best kills with all your friends. Definitely one of the best online games ever made, and spawned a hugely popular Halo 3 machinima series. In my opinion, it still holds up as one of the best online shooters to this date. Number 8. Katherine. Block climbing, sheeps, and crazy girlfriends. A perfect premise for a video game, right? Well, Atlas sure thought so, because on July 2011, Katherine was released in North America. Deemed a puzzle, platformer, psychological horror adventure video game. Yeah, try saying that 5 times. Katherine incorporated an adult storyline and an old school puzzle gameplay into an addicting game filled with choices and moral dilemmas. Although the normal difficulty was gruelingly hard, I found that it was the best difficulty to play on for the full experience. Even Atlas themselves stated that the difficulty of the game was inspired by Demon's Souls. If you want a great puzzle game based with an original story, look no further than Katherine. Number 7. Star Ocean: The Last Hope. Horrendous voice acting and a cliched story? Who would have thought this would be one of my favorite games of this generation? Released on February 2009, the appropriately titled Star Ocean: The Last Hope was Tri-Ace's attempt at making the Star Ocean franchise a huge success. Although it never garnered the mainstream success Tri-Ace was looking for, it was still a success in its own right. Star Ocean: The Last Hope was a cliched RPG down to a T, but luckily it had one saving grace: the combat system. Much like the Tales of franchise, Star Ocean had an active combat system much like that fighting games that allowed you to move around and fight in real time. Around 1 year later, Tri-Ace released the International Edition on PS3 that allowed you to enable the original Japanese voices. If you are planning to play this game, I strongly suggest that you play it on the International Edition for that rare reason. Number 6. Mass Effect. I could just say Mass Effect and be done, because who hasn't heard or played Mass Effect? Released in November 2007 by BioWare as part of a trilogy, Mass Effect was revolutionary for its incredible story and player choices that affected the outcome of the entire game. Disregard Mass Effect 3. Although Mass Effect 2 is undoubtedly the superior game, Mass Effect 1 is still the first game that ever gave me such freedom to do as I wanted. If I wanted to kill this one guy for pissing me off instead of saving him, I could. If I wanted to get freaky with some blue alien chick, I also could. This game has so much replayability just to see the different choices you could make and the various different outcomes. This sci-fi epic is proof that video games can tell an engaging and well-written story. Number 5. BioShock. With the recently released BioShock Infinite, I found myself looking back at the original BioShock and comparing it with Infinite. After some thinking, I realized that BioShock 1 is still the superior game, which just goes to show how far ahead of its time it really was. Released on August 2007, BioShock 1 took place in the underwater city Rapture. Filled with big daddies and creepy little sisters, BioShock provided a haunting atmosphere and an extraordinary story. The sheer amount of ways to dispatch your foes is what makes the combat so good in this game. Will you use your plasmids, set down landmines, or simply blast away at a big daddy with your shotgun? The choice is yours. Simply put, BioShock 1 is a landmark in video games that everyone is obligated to play. Number 4. Fallout 3. Oblivion with guns? Yeah, maybe, but if you thought that was all there was to Fallout 3, then you are sadly mistaken. Released on October 2008, Fallout 3 was the long-awaited sequel to the old PC RPGs by Black Isle Studios, however has now been switched over to developers Bethesda Studios. Much like the Mass Effect series, Fallout 3 allowed for an amazing amount of player customization and choices. Hell, even the choice whether or not to nuke an entire city was dependent on you. The amazing slow-mo VAT system made the combat even more satisfying as you watch a poor bandit's head explode as he tries to mug you. The open world map was huge, and traveling and exploring the wasteland was one of the best parts of the game. I spent over 100 hours exploring and looting everything I came across, and there was still parts of the game I hadn't seen. Add on the amazing expansion packs and you have a game that could last you up to 200 hours. Want quality and quantity both in one package? Look no further than Fallout 3. Number 3. Lost Odyssey. Everyone wants to live forever. However, have you ever thought about the pains that accompanies your everlasting life? Released on February 2008 by Mistwalker Studios, Lost Odyssey focused on Kaim Argonar and his pain of being immortal. Developed by Hironobu Sakaguchi, Lost Odyssey was more Final Fantasy than Final Fantasy XIII could ever be. Once again, the combat went back to being turn-based, however it was made more interactive with the ring system that dealt extra damage if you timed the ring right with your trigger. Although the combat is not always the most important thing in an RPG, the combat in Lost Odyssey was well done and allowed for tactical decisions with infinite amount of time to decide, much like Final Fantasy X. The story in Lost Odyssey was sincere and heartwarming and wasn't afraid to pull on the heartstrings either. The game even had a lengthy novel-like pages called 1000 Years of Dreams that was totally optional and fleshed out the story even more. If you miss the old school Final Fantasies, then definitely play Lost Odyssey. Number 2. Dark Souls. Whereas other RPGs mainly rely on the story to move the game forward, Dark Souls does the complete opposite. Released on October 2011, Dark Souls is a game that relies on the gameplay to propel the game forward. At the beginning, a quick backstory is given to you in the format of cutscenes, and you are quickly awakened in a jail cell as an undead, and the game begins. No instructions are given to you ever in the game, and you are left to fend for yourself and try to find the correct path to venture forth on your journey. In a way, this is what makes Dark Souls so great. The entire game has no hand-holding, and the sense of accomplishment from slaying one of the many bosses is second to none. No game has ever given me such a rewarding feeling. Difficulty plays a big part in the enjoyment, and the ambiguous story provides just enough detail to let the gameplay speak for itself. Is it the best game of this generation? Almost. Almost. Number 1. Xenoblade Chronicles. No other game this generation has provided me with a more enjoyable experience than Xenoblade Chronicles. Released as one of the Operation Rainfall Petition games on April 2012, Xenoblade Chronicles was developed by Monolith Soft, the same people behind Xenogears and Xenosaga. In terms of gameplay, story, and music, Xenoblade is flawless. The music is the best soundtrack I've ever heard for a game. Each new area has an amazing theme that accompanies it, and each new landscape on the two giants, Bionis and Mechonis, are simply breathtaking. The only improvement I can really say the game needed was a more powerful system to run on. The Wii is by no means a powerhouse, and therefore it's even more impressive on how the game still looks so beautiful. I can only imagine what Xenoblade would look on a next-gen console. MMO players will be right at home with the gameplay and questing in Xenoblade, as it uses an aggro and skill battle system. The quests are similar to MMOs, however gone is the need to backtrack to Quest Giver because every quest is automatically completed as soon as you finish the task. The story itself is also extremely well written, with an amazing British voice acting to accompany it. I mean, what other game takes place on two dead giants that have been battling for centuries? If there's only one game you can play this generation, make sure it's Xenoblade Chronicles. Thank you guys for watching my top 10 games of this gen video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video. I'll probably be making more of these top 10 videos if you guys like them, so make sure to tell me in the comment section below. See you guys.